All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning, my friends. Now, let me just see, is this thing working? It appears to be. So let's hit the road. Today, we're going to look at rice fields. Rice fields between Cyonglin and Zhubei. It's one of my favorite stretches of road here in Taiwan. And we have 100% on the battery. We've got 3/4 of a tank of gas. Got a sunny day with no rain in the forecast. Got a camera that appears to be working. What can be better than that? So on today's journey, on today's tour, we're heading down from the Mount Feifong area. We'll be passing through Cyonglin and then grabbing a country road which is a hidden gem. Known to locals, some use it as a shortcut. A few people live there. My connection to this road is that it was my commute several years ago on the way to my teaching job in Zhubei. I'll talk more about that later. Yesterday, in my zeal to create content, I went out with a half-baked battery and ran it into the ground, and the video ended kind of abruptly. It was a lovely day, and I think some of the footage was cool, but I decided let's give it another shot today with a full battery and see what happens. Once again, we are on the mighty Sim Jet 158. A lovely scooter, a rental, which came from downtown Judong. Second time I've rented from these folks, and they have not disappointed yet. They've got solid equipment. I would give you their contact info if I had any idea who they were, but I don't. It was just I want to say a random shop, but you know, there's lots of scooter shops. Yeah, yesterday I think I filmed for about 2 or 3 hours, and then the battery just croaked right mid-sentence, which was somewhat alarming, somewhat disconcerting, a little bit off-putting and strange and bizarre. I am an old dog learning new tricks. As a recent retiree with a desire to share Taiwan with you, I went out and got the DJI Osmo Pocket 5 Pro, which is a wonderful camera. It took a little bit of getting used to it. There was a bit of a learning curve. But I think I've got it figured out now. I figured out the scooter thing a long time ago. But the camera, something new. So it looks like we've got some blue sky today. We've got some clouds today. Should be a nice day for having a look around the countryside. We're going to minimize our time in town here. We're just going to pass through. As some of you may know, and most of you don't, I taught in Taiwan. I taught English for 14 years. and during that time explored much of the island, and of course found some wonderful places which deserve to be shared. And so I'm doing that now. As my wife mentioned yesterday and this morning again, safety is first. So I'm going to keep an eagle eye on these other scooters and make sure they don't do something goofy, and the cars as well. Here in Taiwan, we have the luxury and the option of passing on the right if there's any room. And there usually is. There's usually a little room, unless somebody's hanging out into the lane. It's our reward for not burning as much gas as the cars. Oh, you bad boy, look at you now. All right. All right. Got plenty of gas and got a good strong scooter. No reason not to go out and have some fun today. And I'm glad you're riding along with me. If you come to Taiwan, I'll put you on the back of the scooter. You can experience this personally. Well, not all of you. I mean, if someday I have many followers, we can't put thousands of people on the back of a scooter, or hundreds even, or even dozens. But you get the idea. To my friends back in the States, come on over. We'll take a scooter ride together. If we don't all fit on one scooter, why, we'll go out and rent some more. How's that? All right. And we're off. We're off and running. This is a great time of year. The summer heat has burned off. We're in the mid-70s this morning. It'll probably get up to about 80 or so. That's Fahrenheit, my folks. That's not Celsius. If it was Celsius and 80, we'd all be crying. We'd all be crying tears and sweat in regretting our choices, our life choices. You know, in my mind, I have not yet made the conversion between Fahrenheit and Celsius, but I think 80 is about 26, if I'm not mistaken. 26 Celsius. All right, so quickly passing through Cyonglin. And up here, we're going to take a right onto a magical country road, which goes through some beautiful, beautiful rice fields. Today, it's all about the rice fields and the connection between Cyonglin and Zhubei. And I think we'll end up this video at my old school, Liou Jia Senior High School in Zhubei. That was my final teaching job in Taiwan, assuming, of course, I don't get roped into another teaching gig, which is always possible. Increasingly unlikely. I'll turn 71 in January, and although I am in fine fettle physically and mentally, when it comes to hiring teachers, most schools, quite logically, opt for someone who's younger and has a longer shelf life. Realistically, no school could expect to get more than 2, 3, 4 years out of me before I get tired of working again and go back to retirement. All right, so this is a neighborhood of small farms and kind of a suburban outpost. Good morning, dog. Bark at everybody, why don't you? That's a great idea. I would if I were you. I love this neighborhood. I've always loved this neighborhood ever since I first discovered it. And when I realized that I could use this road to get back and forth to school, my joy knew no bounds. These folks here have a channel of water running beneath their house or in front of their house. Oh, you know what? I'm going to show you this while I'm thinking about it. Let's turn this baby around. I got something to show you. We'll do this responsibly and let the white car go first. You go, BMW. This is worth a look, and who knows, maybe later on we won't be able to take a look at it. This is the ancient trail. It goes up in a mountain. It's got a tremendous view at the top, so we'll take a look at it right away. Oh no, I jumped the gun. This is the wrong one. Already we're running amok. Well, running amok is not bad. It's better than running on empty, right? Okay, so it's not this one. It's the next one. I'm just pulling up into somebody's driveway is what's happening here. Never mind. That way? Look at that. I'm already turned around. All right, let's get back to the main event here. Distractions. What would life be without distractions? Without diversions? All right, let's keep an eye out here. I might have to skip this if I can't figure it out. The rice this time of year is about ready to harvest. And let's just pull over and take a look here. This is kind of what we're looking at here today. We're looking at the rice fields and a combination of old and new. We've got the old traditional farmhouse, and behind there we have new apartments. There is a crying need for housing here in Taiwan. And so areas like this continue to be built up. But still, because of the zoning laws, we can only hope that these type of areas are preserved for as long as possible. Some lovely homes in here. Some of these are the homes of the farmers, and others are folks who've moved from the city just to take advantage of being out in the countryside. Stop here and take a look at the view again. Yeah, we've got the rice fields, and then in the distance we have Zhubei. We've got the high rises of Zhubei. There goes a little school bus hauling some kids to school. During my time at Liou Jia, I never got tired of taking this route to school. So beautiful. All right. Maybe we'll hit that ancient trail on the way back if I can figure out where the entrance to it is. There are lots of little turnoffs on this road. And being a guy who does not read Chinese, the signs are meaningless to me. Unless, you know, there's some clues, like maybe the sign is brown. Oh, looky here. That's it right here. It is the 100 Years Ancient Trail. It's open. Okay, we got it this time, folks. Let's take a look up here. I should slow down. It's so pretty. Look at the bamboo. Trying to recreate a little bit of Taiwan back at our house in Florida. I planted a lot of bamboo in the backyard, but it's going to take many, many years before it gets to be these as large as these clumps that you see along the road here. Some of this bamboo is very, very old. All right. Straight up? Well, yeah, of course. Around the corner on the slippery leaves? Why not? This is the beauty of riding a scooter. It's very nimble and takes you places that you really wouldn't want to do in your car. Especially if you meet another car coming the other way, then things get just a little bit dicey. Also, you could walk up here, but that would expend the day's energy, wouldn't it? And up we go. All right. Now, on the way to school, obviously, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't stop and take a look at the view every time. But we'll take a look at it today. I think I'm going to park it right here on a flat surface. That's probably a good idea. Or better yet, I'm going to park it on a flat surface that's got some solidness to it. The whole key here is don't let the scooter roll down the hill. If the scooter rolls down the hill, then I owe the scooter company lots of money. We don't want to. Well, you know what? I'm going to put it over here. I've always trusted this spot. Let's see what happens. Oh my God. Okay, that's it right there. If it rolls forward, theoretically it'll roll into that brick wall. And if it misses the brick wall, then I owe the rental company a scooter. I feel like some sort of alien with this helmet on. It gets even stranger when you go inside a building with a helmet on. But actually, people do that here quite often. They'll go in 7-Eleven with a helmet on. It's not a big deal. So here we have the view, a phenomenal view of the area through which we are passing. You see a checkerboard of small rice fields. Over the years, some of the larger farms get divided. A father will have a couple of sons and the farm gets cut in half, or he has 3 sons and it gets cut in thirds. The daughters generally don't get a piece of the action when it comes to the land. Down below, you can see you can see 2 apartment buildings down there. My wife and I looked at those during our house shopping days and briefly considered purchasing a home in one of those buildings. And we eventually made a decision to stay where we were and buy that place instead. In the distance, we see Zhubei. We see the high rises of Zhubei. And we'll be heading that way. From here, you can see some of the buildings of the medical park. Taiwan has science parks, and in Zhubei, there is a concentration of pharmaceutical companies and medical supplies, and they are in that area that the camera is pointed at right now. And we just saw a high-speed train. A high-speed train go through there. All right, so that's enough of that. Let's look at the view from the top here. Be careful not to roll down the hill. Not worried about me. I'm worried about the camera. Must preserve the camera at all costs. Actually, I'm worried about me too. I don't want to break any bones. Cool. I love it. These are my father's old gloves. My dad died about 14 years ago. And my mom, when we were going through my dad's clothes, my mom said, "Would you like to have Dad's old leather gloves?" And I said, "Yes, I would." And I have worn them ever since on my scooter adventures. They're a good luck talisman. I'm not a superstitious man, but oh, look at that! We picked up a stick. We don't need that. You know, it'll go flying off. Yes, I'm not a superstitious man, but I'm a sentimental man. And I dearly love my father. And it reminds me every time I put these gloves on of my dad. A story about my dad, which I love to pass on to my students. I love to tell my students. Now, you're not my students, but if you're watching this video, you're listening to me. Oh, look at that view. Is that fantastic? Look at those mountains there. That is just spectacular. Now, what about that stick? Maybe it fell off. When I was 4 years old, my dad came home from work and found his 3 sons huddled around the TV set watching the Three Stooges, attempting to poke each other in the eye. And my dad said, "No, this is not going to do this. This does not work. This is not good." And he unplugged the television, put it on the back porch. Well, I would be incomplete telling the story if I didn't mention that evening it snowed heavily, and in the morning there was a thick coat of snow covering the TV. Well, after he unplugged the TV and put it on the back porch, he turned to my mother. I will never forget the words. He said, "These children will go to the library every week. They will take out any books they want without restriction. If the librarian says that's too mature for them, it's not. They can read anything they want." I still hear that stick under there. And so I found myself at a very early age reading steamy romance novels and books about violence in America, and all kinds of books that alarmed the librarian as I was pushing them across the counter. Once or twice she tried saying, "Oh, dear, are you sure that this is appropriate for you?" You know, and I would say, "My dad said I could read anything in this building," and that was the rule. And so, because of my youthful curiosity about things which normally I wouldn't be able to read about, I became an avid reader. I became a lifelong book lover, and eventually an English teacher. I have to credit my parents for that. My dad for putting his foot down about the TV, and my mom for faithfully following the mandate and bringing us kids to the library every week. So that's my dad's story. And so when he passed, I got his gloves, which by now have been soaked and dried and baked in the sun, and they're fading and they're starting to come unraveled. And I do have a replacement set of leather gloves standing by, which I just don't really want to put on yet. Not until I've worn these right down to the threads. Now, on the right time of year, right here, this is a lotus pond. It's really pretty, but this is not the right time of year. I've always loved this farm here on the left-hand side. They have a view of the high-rises of Zhubei, and yet they are still living the old traditional farm life. With a little bit of land, I think they're growing some cabbage and that sort of thing. Growing some rice up here. Now, I have to remind myself, when I get to the end of this, at Liou Jia, to turn the camera off, because I don't think most folks want to sit through a 2-hour video, which is what I shot yesterday. 2 hours, 2.5, and then suddenly it went dead. It was a fun cruise. It was basically the same cruise I'm going to take today. But let's face it, nobody's got time to watch a 2.5-hour video. The grain, the rice heads are the lighter part. This field is nearly ready for harvest. If we come back in a few weeks, it'll all be chopped down. Farmer will probably be burning the field. There'll be air, the air will be full of smoke. Will not be anywhere near as pretty. So this is the time to capture it, just before the harvest. Now, most of the rice that Taiwan consumes is imported from places like Vietnam, which grows rice on a large commercial scale. These are small family farms, and I do believe that some of this rice you can buy in stores in Taiwan, but it doesn't get exported. And a lot of it's just for the family, I think, and for neighbors, just for local sale. Much of it is grown to preserve the agricultural zoning and obey the rule that if you're going to have a house out in the country, you've got a farm. So you've got a house like that. Now, is that a farmer? It could be, it could not. Look at that house. That's a mansion. It's a gorgeous home. Now, there's two possibilities there. Either the farmer sold that little piece of land to a city guy with a lot of money, maybe a guy working in the medical park, and he wants to live around the corner, but he wants to live in the country. Or the farmer sold the land behind where that high-rise is, or some other land, and built himself that house. You do have the strange phenomenon of farmers who, they're apparently of modest means. They're not wealthy farmers, but they have fabulous homes, beautiful homes. And that's because when they sold a piece of their land is so dear here, so valuable. When they sell a piece of their land, they've got a chunk of money, and sometimes they use that chunk of money to build their family a home for the ages, a home that will house, 3 generations, 4 generations, grandpa and grandma and mom and dad and the kids and the grandkids. I never could figure this place out. It's a coffee shop kind of in the middle of nowhere. I've never seen a customer there, and it's rarely open. I don't know if that was a misguided business call or if they're open on the weekend and they do a roaring business on Saturday and Sunday. I don't come through here too much on the weekends, or I never did, so I don't know what their story is. That's a new building, that high-rise right there. It's a little bit incongruous. It's a state-of-the-art, gorgeous building with nice balconies and all the amenities. But you can see where it's located. It's located by these guys here, by the old farmer guys. All I can say, it must be a nice place to live with views of the fields. That's a great old house right there. Look at that bamboo clump in front of it. It's just gigantic and old. Yeah, what's going on here? Oh, okay. Close your eyes and don't breathe. All right. So kind of them to stop their work while I'm going by. Let's just take a look at this view here. Not bad. Not bad at all. Mountains in the distance. I'll be showing you some of those mountains. We're going to go to Hengshan one of these days and hike the trail there. Try to keep this thing going here. All right, fall in there, driver. Here we take a right. Yeah. Try to keep from wagging my head around too much. I've noticed on the playbacks that it can be somewhat distracting, the sudden movements. So we'll try to do that slowly and gently. Yeah, Taiwan is a wonderful mix of agriculture and high tech. And here you've got some small farms, and then right around the corner you've got the people making the medicine for the world and making computers for the world. Education is key here. It really is. It is a society based on Confucianism and Buddhism, and Confucius, of course, was the great teacher. And many of the schools have a statue of Confucius in front of the school, and students very often will bow a little bit. They'll bow their head, or they'll acknowledge Confucius on the way in the door. It's a reminder to them to learn, to value their education. I've had as many as 45 students in a class, and never a discipline problem. Kids are always good as gold. As a matter of fact, when you walk into a junior high or high school, it is very common for the students to stand up and bow and say, "Good morning, Teacher Mark." And of course, you show them the same respect. You bow to them and say, "Good morning, class." And that sets the tone. After that, everyone is attentive, and most work hard, pay attention. They appreciate you being there. Especially if you are a teacher from a foreign country. Okay, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to pull over. No, I'm not. That guy's taking his time. Let's see if I can hustle right into this mix here. How's this for a skinny little road, right? Very skinny little road. Now these guys, there's two cars. There's a chance they don't need to be on this road. They're just being a wise guy and taking a shortcut. So now this guy's kind of he has to wait for traffic to clear a little bit. And here we got a car coming. I'm gonna try to get into this group here and pass through. Hey now. Look at that. Oh, that worked out all right. So yeah, there you go. Rice fields adjacent to the big city. Best of both worlds, really. If you're living in one of those high-rises there with a view of the rice fields, that's very peaceful. That's very serene. It's lovely. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's marvelous. Mm-hmm. Oh. If we get lucky in some future video, we'll have a look at the rice being planted or the rice being harvested. There are very complicated machines that do that. I believe it's the same machine that plants and harvests. That's how this rice ends up growing in such precise rows. Much of it. Not all of it. So anyhow, that's a look at at my old commute going between Cyonglin and Zhubei. And I'm going to stop the camera once we get to Liou Jia Senior High School. I'll show you that, and then we'll see what other adventures we can find. See what other trouble we can get into. See what other mischief we can brew for you. Zhubei is a very modern city. You might describe it as a boom town. It was kind of a sleepy, small town adjacent to rice fields. Oh, look at here now. And then the government announced plans many years ago, well, not many years ago, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago maybe, to build a high-speed rail and put a station in Zhubei itself. And suddenly the land surrounding the high-speed rail, anything anywhere near the high-speed rail, became very valuable. And some farmers who had been just kind of bumping along making a living suddenly became quite wealthy. by selling their land, part of their land. And some of the farmers, oh, let's just do this. Some of the farmers were able to negotiate clever deals where they sold their land, but part of what they got was units in the new buildings. So here it is, Liou Jia, Hsinchu County, Liou Jia Senior High School, my former place of employment. Did I love it there? Yes, I did. Were the students fantastic? Yes, they were. Did I have wonderful co-workers? I sure did. I sure did. Jimmy in the science department and Cindy in the music department and Muhua, who ran the program. She helped me a lot. Wonderful people. Wonderful school. And it was a tough decision quitting this job and going back to the USA and working in schools there for a while. But I taught, and then I went back to the US and taught for 3 years there. And I think that's going to be the end of this particular video. We're going to have a proper send-off this time instead of an abrupt ending to the video where I'm discussing something and it gets cut off mid-sentence. I want to thank those of you who have made it to the end of the video. And even those of you who had a look at the first 4 or 5 minutes and said, this is rubbish, and went on to look at something else. I want to thank all of you. And I invite you to subscribe to the channel. I promise you there will be much, much more material. Some of it perhaps more interesting than what we have here today. Something that might interest you more. So yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Love to all, peace to all. Have a grand and glorious day, and I'm going to turn off the camera and I'm going to reposition myself for another scooter adventure here in Taiwan.